Well, hello, podcast land. This is Rudrani, Devi, your host, as usual, always me, with the Get Happy podcast. Let's do this. And today, oh my goddess, you guys, forget about it. One of my favorite people, one of my new favorite people. Fortunately for me, we got to meet on Zoom because we've been in lockdown. So thank you, coronavirus.
Yes.
Mr. John Ashford. And the crowd goes wild.
It was my pleasure. I love being here.
Oh my goddess, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And people on the fly too, because I literally just was texting him, I don't know, a day or two ago, and he agreed. I was like, Wednesday I can do this. So here we are.
Yeah.
And so my dear, could you please tell our listeners who you are, what you do, who you be?
I'm John Ashford. I live in the Northwest in Washington, right across the river from Portland, Oregon. Um, I've been here for 35 years, I think. And I am a probation officer. I'm still the probation officer for the juvenile department for Portland, Oregon, Multnomah County. And I've been working there for 31 years, working with families. I do domestic violence classes for men and fatherhood classes for men getting out of the incarceration or on probation. Uh, what else do I do? I love magic. That's the biggest piece. I love magic. I'll tell you this quick thing, a story about this. I was also in the Catholic seminary for 12 years.
Heavens to
I was,
Murgatroyd. I was going to be a
yes,
nun.
yes,
No
yes.
joke.
And I tell people one of the things that really was most attractive thing, I left home, I left Chicago to go to Liberty, Missouri to boarding school at age 12, between 12 and 13. And I chose, and my parents, wasn't everybody said your parents made, I was like, no, this is my finding. And what was really alluring, what was attractive to me was this whole concept that this dude could change water to wine. People wanted to hang out with him. There was these guys that were going to attack this woman. He was able to say something and magically they just disappeared. He brought a dead dude out of a cave. And I was like, I want to be like that. That's some magic. And as a 12-year-old, you'd be like, that's kind of cool, you know. Then I grew up and I was like, this is not going to work for me. It's nothing wrong with him, not throwing any rocks at anybody, still practice, but it's just something the magic wasn't there for me anymore. So I was like, I got to do something different. And I went to school in France for a little bit, worked in Mexico,
Comment
and the
vas-tu?
Caribbean.
You can speak
Je
French?
parle petit français, ouais. Un petit peu.
Man, go on.
So, and after doing this job for about 20 something years, the probation, it started to eat away at me because the system wasn't allowing more magic for people to change. And I started to go into this place of like, it has to be more. And then I jumped into this concept of Ifa, which is from Nigeria, which is this earth practice. It's not even really called a religion as much as earth practice. And I started finding more magic, and I started tapping into my Native American roots and started doing sweat lodges with some Native people out here in the Northwest. And I was just like, this is what I'm looking for, but I still wasn't satisfied. I was just like, I wanted to bring more magic to people. And I was like, I knew that healing was possible. I didn't realize 100% that healing was something that a person had to choose until probably the last 5-6 years. That's a choice that somebody has to choose. As much as you can do, they have to still be able to choose it.
That's right.
And then I got into, yes, happiness, choosing happiness. They have to choose happiness. You know, I can't wait to jump in. I can't wait to read the book, but I'm just like your book. I'm just like, it just cracks me up that people actually resist happiness.
Yeah. You know, true story. I mean, if I can interrupt for just one moment, Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, y'all, please check him out on the YouTube and all the things, all the places. I can remember having this conversation where, you know, it was like some people really would prefer not to choose happiness, that they're actually really happy in their unhappiness.
Yes.
You can imagine that. Yes. And, you know, they've been impaled with this belief. They even try to outdo each other with their unhappiness. You think you got it bad. Well, let me tell you.
Let me tell you, yeah. And that's when I realized that my body got beat up in the process of holding on to people's shit. And I got to a point that enough was enough. And I was like, I got to do things different. And that's when a friend of mine from California told me about this book called Being You Changing the World. I was a bit of resistance. Yes, that one, Being You Changing the World. Uh, I got the book. I didn't read it at first, and my friend kept calling me. Antoinette kept calling me, and she asked me, "John, did you read this book yet?" And I was like, "No, I didn't read it yet." She said, "You should get to this book. It might be some tools in there for you." So lo and behold, it was like I think I want to say 2015. Just about before Thanksgiving, I was on Amazon Prime, and Audible came up, and it says you can get books for free. And so I looked at it, and as soon as I pushed the button, the book that showed up that would be free was Being You Change the World.
Wow, you didn't create that. Talk about
Yeah,
magic, right?
yeah.
Let's acknowledge that, people.
Yes,
How
yes. Magic is in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a vibe that, and then I started hearing Dane's voice. And I was like, I'm going to meet this guy. So immediately I was at work. I go on to Facebook, and I see Dane's on the Facebook. So I get in there and I go to Messenger. I say, "Hey, dude, this is an amazing book. I got this book, blah, 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 blah." And I said, "This is weird as fuck." And he said, "Weirdos of the world need to unite." And I was like, "Whoa, this is kind of weird." And he was busy. He said, "Let me know how you like the book." And so I kept on reading the book. Then about there was a storm, winter storm, I think the following year, and it was a year after I read the book. I had gone to bars classes, and my life had changed.
Mm.
And
Mm-mm-mm.
I went to bars class, and like 2 months later, Barbara Gilman was the person out here at the time. I went to bars class, and then I went to foundation class, and I was like, "Oh, I have a horse that I can ride on now." Because when I went to, and then my first class was, I think, was an ESB class up in Seattle,
Oh,
and that was
dang.
the game changer. That
What
was the
the?
game changer.
Dudes, ESB, Energetic Synthesis of Being, is
Yes,
a class that Dr. Dain here, the co-founder of Access
yes,
Consciousness, created. And I remember, oh my goddess, the first time I took that class, I had a total out of body experience.
yes,
It was
yes, yeah.
off the chain, off the
And
chain.
the most important piece is that the people that were there, I really could vibe with. Now, I know people are going to be people on the planet, but
Mhm.
energetically, as a collective, it was something about this group that was willing to be different. And that's what I was really attracted to, the difference of it and willing to create something different. Um,
Did,
so I went with it.
did you
I immediately went
also
with it.
notice the vulnerability of that? People that are actually willing to be themselves, that are looking for something different, that aren't trying to hide that they're trying to do something different. And the
Right.
piece that I love about that is that vulnerability where they just show up and say, "Hi, here I
Yeah.
am, like it or
Yeah.
not," no
Yep.
point of view. Because
Yeah.
that's what really drew me in. It's funny because I never even got to ask the question, how did you discover Access? You just organically jumping right in.
Yeah.
So please
I
continue, please.
Yeah. So what happened is that and every time I went to class, there was one or more twos that were really opening up my world. And I was like, oh my God. And what I say to people like today, like when I speak to people, what I say is that it's the collaborative of the tools of access that work extremely fast in my world, plus the past of being on a journey of being in question, which is a perfect match in heaven for me.
Right.
Because if you're not willing to ask the question, shit ain't gonna show up.
True story, people. Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah,
They hit it really far in the Bible where you can't find it, but
yeah,
it's in
right. Yeah. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is that you have to be willing to ask a question.
there.
And when we were talking earlier about happiness, and it's just like, and then that's the other piece. And then I realized, and still today, I have to still use the tools because occasionally I'll wake up and I'm like all cranky and shit. And all of a sudden, I have to be, okay, what question do I need to ask? What tool can I pull out? You
Mhm.
know, and that is the most rewarding piece of being where I am in my life right now. I used to sit and waddle and shit for days, maybe months. Now it's sometimes hours, sometimes days, but there's constant tools that are floating around me that I could just reach out anytime, pull it, look at it, not say it, but really be it.
Mhm. When
You
you
know, you can
embody
read
it.
something, yeah, you can read something, but if you don't vibe with what you're reading, it really doesn't, it stays flat. Once you actually become the energy of this, and this I'm gonna use loosely, it changes everything.
Mm.
you walk through the world a little bit different. You ask questions, you be like I said to you this morning, I woke up and I was like, well, am I getting sick? No, I'm not getting sick. I'm talking to my body. And it sounds almost like a lunatic, because it's like, you're talking to your body. Yeah, but my body is really wanting to reply. You just have to ask more questions. And people are like, what? And so that's the joy of it all.
Yeah, I always find it funny when people are like, what do you mean I can talk to my body? Because the first thing I teach when I'm teaching a bars class
Yeah.
is, that heavy light tool. So they can
Yes.
talk to the person's body, they can talk to their body, and they're like, I remember my mother. This is so amazing. My mother, who
Uh-huh.
I just recently moved in the end of 2020. She took one of my bars classes, and
Uh-huh.
she's sitting there. And okay, now I'm gonna out Celeste. Celestina, mi dispiace, ma you don't look your age, so I'm just gonna say it. Well, I'll just say she'll be 88 on May 23rd.
Wow.
She's still, we shop till I drop. She's a piano concertist. I built a soundproof music studio in the back, and I'm a singer, so we have 3 pianos now, 2 Baldwin
Wow.
7-foot grands, and this other one. So she's got tons of energy, right? And she
Wow.
plays with her hands. And then she was surprised, and she's running bars on another Italian lady that had come to visit from Alabama. I didn't know who she was, just randomly signed up for the class. They both have sons named Roberto. God only knows. Well, how in the world I knew how to match them up, because I match them with whoever's going to create the most for them, right?
Right.
And she's like, with these magic hands that she has, she can play an octave and 3 keys. I can barely get an
Gotcha.
octave with my hands. She's got like huge mitts, all right? And she's like, oh, I'm feeling this energy flowing. What is that? Oh my gosh, that's really funny. I didn't know that. It was just so cute to watch it. I guess the point is, y'all, anybody can use these tools. Anybody
Right.
can embody this magic. You just choose it. She
Yeah.
wasn't even aware of it. And then recently she said, if you're short one person again, I'm happy to fill in.
And it's that addictive, though. I mean, and what I'm saying, it is that addictive because there's something that happens that, like, between bars and body processes,
Mhm.
you know, uh, it's very orgasmic. It's very, very orgasmic. I like that.
I got an antenna over here. For those of you that can't see me, they're just listening
Yes.
to the podcast. I have this one hair that was getting taller and taller like an antenna. For
It's
those of you
reaching.
watching on the YouTube channel, you all know how crazy, silly, immature I be. So, whatever.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Just flow with it, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Wow.
yeah, that's pretty much how, I mean, and the other piece is being about it. And that's what I say to a lot of guys when I'm working with it. It's about being about the energy of whatever you desire.
Mhm.
If your listeners haven't had a chance yet to read or listen to Being You Changing the World, or I can't wait to jump into this happiness book. There's an energy.
Oh my God, it's on
Sh- sh-
Audible now, you guys.
yes.
It's on Audible. You'll get to hear yours truly reading through it. And there were some vulnerable moments that my producer actually told me not to take out, where I start to tear up because I stepped into that energy again.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know my story, I was in India I think I've mentioned it on a couple of podcasts, but I was in India in 2008 on a meditation retreat. I was following a guru at the time, of all things, and there was a terrorist attack that is now called the Mumbai Massacre.
Wow.
There was a movie that was made, and I got shot 3 times point blank range. Fortunately, the bullets went through the table, or I wouldn't have an arm or a leg, and I wouldn't be
Wow.
talking to you. So I open up with a little history of why,
Yeah.
what validity do I have to be happy when I went through all of that? Well, you guys, if I can do it with everything I've been through,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
It's like, John, I got to tell you, I'm so, so grateful just tapping into the energy of what you've created, not just for
Thank
your
you.
life, but for those you touch,
Thank you.
giving them the opportunity to know that they have choice. And question is really the beginning of it. Question opens up all these choices. Then all these possibilities just show up. And just like the heavy light tool I was talking about,
Yeah.
hey, if I choose this one, what will it create? Heavier light. If I choose this one, and it may not be what you even think it's going to be. It never really shows up the way you think it's going to. I'm just going to say,
Right.
in my experience, I'll be like, hey, this didn't really seem to be a good choice. But what I've noticed is It always leads me to the next thing. And then there's that piece that's contribution. Because once you actually start choosing, the universe falls all over itself to show you what else is
Yes.
possible.
Yeah.
And that's the magic.
Yeah.
That's why I love facilitating these classes, you know, right?
Yeah.
Voice for You and relationships done different. Foundation's a huge one. Don't you love teaching a foundation
Yeah.
class?
I love that.
It's
It's so
like,
much. And also, here's the piece about it. The other piece that I've learned, in the sense I've only been a CF now a year, but
my God, really? Only a year?
yeah, it's crazy. It's just a year. But one of the things that actually starts to happen, but here's the hugest contribution from becoming a facilitator and teaching foundation. Everything else becomes easier. And there's no separation from, like, I remember trying to learn some things. I was like, you know something? Why don't I just be the energy of what I've learned? And that means that it's in everything. Like when I'm doing work, if I'm doing work outside of access classes, it's the energy is pervasive, I guess. It actually moves out. And people like, then they become a question like, well, what is that?
Right.
It's like, yesterday I had a coworker call me at lunchtime since we're working from home. And she said, I just wanted to talk to you. I hope you don't mind. And she said, and then she said something about it, you. And I'm like, yeah. And so I told her a little bit about access in the bars. She said, that's kind of interesting. They still have to choose, but people start to notice that you're different.
Oh my goddess, yes. That's I've had people go, you look so different.
Yeah.
And, and I'm not a shy person. I never have been. I'm a singer. I'm an entertainer. So,
Yeah.
I put on a show.
Yes.
But now I am the show. I be the show.
Right.
It's like, and it's
Exactly.
just me. It's
Yeah.
me, being you, changing the world. And
Yeah.
it's showing up even when I'm performing. And even when I had somebody randomly at the grocery store say, I'm sorry, I can't stop staring at you. There's just something about you. What do you do? And I told them, and they said, do you have a business card? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I whipped
I
it out.
find that.
It's like if you're being you and you have this energy you're being, those that can receive that are going to be attracted to you. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of how I'm finding my peeps.
Yeah.
My family. I've had people now that have shown up because of the podcast, and they were just
Yeah.
randomly trying to find something because they were depressed or whatever. Oh, the Get Happy podcast. And some people I pissed off, okay.
It
Because
happens.
some people would rather be happy not being happy,
Right.
you know. So my story doesn't, it's like they don't care about my story. It's like,
Right.
whatever, you've found a way, but that I'm
Yeah.
bipolar, I'm this or whatever.
Yeah. People want to hold on to this story, and then they go into this proving energy. I'm gonna prove you wrong.
Right.
And I let them have that energy. If that's what you like. If that feels good, tie it up. That's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah, if that
a
gets you
shoe.
off, by all means, because if that's going to make you happy, then just get as pissed off as you can.
Well,
And you know
yeah.
what? I love it because I've heard this several times by different facilitators. Indulge in it. I mean, if you're going to
Yes.
get cranky pants, just indulge in it to the point to where it's almost, well, it's hilarious. You get to that point of, what am I doing? Why am I kicking
Yeah.
and screaming?
Yeah.
This is not fun for me. Maybe you'll start laughing.
Yeah.
The more you laugh, the more
More things are
joy
revealed.
cells
Yeah.
in your body and the
Yeah.
planet. That's if you ever want to know what to contribute to Mother Earth, laugh more.
Yes.
It'll
Yes.
change
And
the
and
world.
and even at your body, if pain shows up in your body, you start laughing, the body's like, what? What is that? What are you doing? And so, like, when I woke up, I was like, oh my God, this is happening. I was like, oh, okay, this is a joke. So we're gonna laugh at you. And it's like, what is that? I mean, the body loves laughter.
True story. And the only reason why you're going to feel pain in your bone, the only reason. Interesting point of view, Rudrani.
Yeah.
The body will point to pain for different reasons. It could be
Yes.
yours. More than likely, it's not yours, or there's something the body wants to show you to look at,
Yes.
or maybe it's Mother Earth who needs facilitation. You got to ask,
Yeah.
Truth, is this mine? I love this tool, by the way. Truth, is this mine? Someone
Yeah.
else's or something else's? And usually it's something else. It's Mother Earth wanting to be facilitated. And you
Yeah.
can just contribute. And 9 times out of 10, that pain will just go away.
Yep.
Don't try it.
Yeah. It can't hurt. You might as well just try it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So tell me, what do you do specifically like to honor yourself to get your happy on? I mean, I have my things. I like to get my nails did. I get
Yeah.
massage, those things. Cook myself a
So
wonderful
one
meal.
of the things I know a lot of people, I do a couple of things. Like, so my two favorite things, one is gardening. I love being in the soil. I
For
mean,
reals?
we live on like a half acre here. Tori and I live on a half acre, and we
Oh
have
my
lots of fruit
goodness. Do you
trees.
cook the foods that you eat?
Yeah, yeah.
You like to
I
cook?
really, because oh my God, and cooking is like I have a show on YouTube, Orgasmic Conscious
What
Cooking.
the what?
Yes,
I need to be on your show, dude.
yes,
What the?
that's gonna happen.
Jeez.
That's gonna happen. Yes.
Ah,
Uh,
I love to.
so
I love to cook. Anyway,
so
go on. Sorry.
cooking, gardening, and somebody once, I mean, when I get access, I heard people say, I don't like meditation. Well, I've been doing meditation for 35 years, but it's not the meditation that people have done, like you stare at a wall and you just sit there.
Right.
I've been meditating with this instructor, Bernie Baird, and it's very much active. You're doing things. You're actually playing with the meridians. You're
Cooking
not just sitting there like,
meditation.
yeah,
All
it's
of it.
actually, and it actually has been a huge game changer for me. And it's allowed me to have more freedom. And so it's one of those things that I really have loved, and it actually brings my happiness. Like when I don't do those three things, I know that I need to get to that.
Right.
Also, I guess the paramount piece that I share with people, one of my favorite new finds is I'm an SOP practitioner,
Oh my goddess.
and
Love
SOP,
that energy. Oh my goddess.
it's like I'm never tired. I don't get hungry. It's the energy of SOP that's fulfilling, that has changed and that's the last new find for me. So there's so many tools that what do you want to do to get happy? I can ask somebody, let's do this, let's do this. But there's not one thing, but it's that energy of the happiness for me is knowing that I'm being the most potent me on the planet, and I'm actually shining. I call it the shine. And once I'm shining, it's just like it's radiant. It's like another sun. And it's like I'm actually vibing with everything and everybody, but not in a negative way and not being abrasive or making somebody
Yeah.
small, but it's the
Yeah.
expanse of me. And I would say one of the top things that you can see that when I'm doing SOP sessions, people have said that before they've seen pictures, like, what is that? I want some of
Mhm,
that. But it's
mhm.
like, yeah, this
And
is,
let me explain to you people that don't know what SOP is, because now you're all going, well, what is that? Where am I going to find that? Where can I get that? Where can I? I've taken 3 SOP classes from Dr. Dain, and they've all been exponentially so different. It stands for, it's an acronym, Symphony of Possibilities. And it's not necessarily a healing session. It's like a creationship session with the body.
yes,
What cell needs to be changed, or cells, so that your body
yes,
creates and you can have this co-creationship with it to be who you truly desire and require to be. Because the body's brilliant, you guys. It always knows.
yeah,
Talk to your body, y'all,
yeah,
for reals, because you'd be
yeah,
surprised what it will show you.
yeah,
And that's what I love about SOP. I trade SOPs, at least once a week with another
yeah,
CF. We should do it, John.
yeah, for sure.
No joke. And I
Yeah,
SOP with the planet every morning from my hot tub. That's my
yeah,
thing. The first thing I say to her is, hey, Mother Earth, beautiful planet, what can I be today so you can create you the way you want to be created?
yes,
And then I just contribute that SOP energy. All the birds start showing up in my yard.
yeah,
Like, I feel like,
yeah,
like Bambi, the cartoon where all the animals start coming out.
yeah.
I have
It's
a
the
squirrel
craziest thing.
too.
And sometimes I do SOP before I go to sleep, before I fall asleep, and I connect and I expand out. And it's almost like I love the stars. And it's
Mhm.
just like at nighttime when I can see them. And it feels like once I start to do SOP, I'm expanding out, but it feels like the blanket of the sky is coming down closer, and I can feel the energy of those stars actually caressing my body. And then
Wow. I just felt what you were talking about.
yeah, and
That's
then
fucking
then
amazing. amazing.
Yes, yes, it is fucking amazing. I must say it. It's
Nice,
just
y'all.
like it's orgasmic. So I'm like, I love that, and it's just like, wow. And when you're able to share that with somebody who's willing to receive it, the planet and the universe really smiles.
Yeah,
It's a huge smile.
true story. Gosh, thank you for that. I actually could perceive it just from you talking about it. And that's the magic we're talking about, you guys.
Yes,
You can
yes,
lean into the energy of the other person without invading their world and be able to perceive, know, be, and receive what they are sharing or
exactly,
what they be, you
exactly.
know? And all you got to do is ask. Again, it's this question thing. People are like, well, how do I do that? It's not about doing, it's about being.
Yeah,
Not asking, just be the energy of it. And you just
yeah,
ask to be it.
yeah,
That simple, you know? So if you're
yeah.
curious at all, yeah, whatever you do, don't look into access consciousness. We're a
That's
bunch of
no, don't.
weirdos. It's not for
Yeah,
you, you know, if you like
yeah,
being cranky pants. But
yeah,
if you've gotten this far in the podcast,
yeah.
you probably, you know, you're probably one of our peeps.
You're probably going, what is that?
That's right.
Yes,
That is right.
sure.
I have to say something kind of silly right now because I keep
Hmm.
hearing, I know that you're originally from Chicago,
Yes,
but you've got this little Southern drawl thing that just
yeah.
pops out of, what is that from? Where did you,
My mom is from Bessemer, Alabama, so
Alabama?
right outside of Birmingham. So I guess I picked that up from my mom's family. So
My parents met in Birmingham, Alabama. My mother um, came from directly from Italy to visit some family that was there, and my father
yeah.
happened to be living there because his parents came. And so I'm from Italian descent. I'm with an
Mhm.
Indian name living in the United States. It's really strange. But anyway, they met in Alabama, and they had 4 kids, and then they came to no, excuse me, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. My father was a scientist,
Uh-huh.
and then I was born, and my baby sister was born. But I love a Southern accent, and so every time you're doing it, my body was going, you know. So I just
Yeah, I mean, people say they're like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "I'm from Chicago." They were like, "Really?" You know, especially
no,
I've been out here for like 30, almost 35 years, and they're like, "What is
no.
that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just
Yeah,
wear it."
you know, your body knows what it likes.
Yes.
So it just does what it does. And I'm so grateful for it. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Wow, this has been an amazing, amazing conversation. And I could talk to you
Yes.
forever. And I can't wait to see it Global Foundation so I can see
Foundation.
your juicy body.
Yes. Yes. Can't wait.
So
Yes.
if you were going to leave our listeners with something, a tool, or just, I don't know, whatever comes to you, what would that be? What's something maybe you share with your peeps when, you know, you're facilitating all those classes and getting
So
people to another place in there, you know,
so
nobody can have a choice and all that.
with the world being what it is right now, I always tell people that I've been practicing the tool of letting go. Simply let go. And there's a tool that I love that I use, and especially when I get to the point where I feel like I'm trapped. What can I do? I need to let this go. I don't need to do anything, but letting go would bring a lot more freedom. The first thing that comes to mind is everything's the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing's the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything's the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing's the opposite of what it appears to be. That tool there is the tool that unties you from this reality of any muck, shit, stench, or whatever that
Right.
is.
Right.
And you can come above it and you can see, oh, there's more out there, and you can be that energy
Mhm.
immediately. So letting go, like a lot of times people are trapped with this, like all the shit, especially I was talking to people maybe from the States, all the shit that's here with political, the virus, whatever that is. Whenever I need
All
to
the
get out of that.
movements, the Black Lives Matter
Yes,
movement,
yes,
that one blew my mind. I was like,
yeah,
What
yeah,
going on
yeah.
here?
And what
Really?
happens is and what happens is the and what I realize is because and then I can go on for this forever, but because of what
Please
create
share, because you know, this is pinging because
yeah.
there are a lot of people that
So
are confused about
so
that.
here's the piece about it. There this world has created a reality of doing separation right now. And it's done a great job because those of us who have been conscious have been silent for far too long.
Hmm.
and we've been in hiding.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore. I do get the concept of Black Lives Matter. I do get that as an African American male walking through the United States. I do get it. I mean, get this stairs. And the tie for me is when I read Shannon Douglas' book, Shannon, Gary's daughter.
Oh, yeah. Well, Mary's name is
Shannon.
like her last name is O'Hara. She's
Hera, that's right.
adopted,
Okay.
but who?
Sorry, Shannon. Well, you hear that. But
Okay, baby.
Shannon's like, you know me. But anyway, she said something about when she went to New Orleans and something she saw with the group. And I've been saying this to the guys that I work with. There's some magic that has been denied by African American folks. That because they have denied their magic, the universe is bringing a bunch of bullshit towards them.
Right.
Whenever you deny something,
Yeah,
the
that's true. If you
universe will
don't
come back and
acknowledge,
turn on it.
if you don't acknowledge the magic you are, you can't create it.
Yeah, and actually
That's
the
the
universe will
hiding
actually start to
piece.
turn on. The universe will start to turn on you. And I
Huh?
get that it's and I can't describe it in detail. I don't know what it is physically, but what I realize is that once that's reclaimed, things will change on planet Earth for
That's
all people.
that's so
But the
light.
magic has to be chosen. And what happens is that because that hasn't, and people have bought into this reality and they're living in a box,
Well,
they
it's like programming. We've been programmed to be a certain way for so long that we just, it's like knee jerk. We don't even think about it. And then
right.
when somebody challenges it, you're like, no, this is the way my parents did it, and my parents' parents did it, my parents' parents did it. I mean, my parents, they were from Italy, and they were labeled wops. Do you know what that
Yeah,
means? Without
yeah,
peppers. And
yeah.
my dad's parents, there was a cross burned in their yard. And it's
Mhm.
like, I don't even have a box to check. I'm Italian, and I have to check white, which is
Yeah.
weird because
And that's part of this reality. And I see what's happening now with everything that's going on the planet,
Mhm.
that actually falling apart.
I love it. Yeah.
It's
That's,
actually
this
falling
is what it
apart.
takes.
And
Bring
that's
it.
why people are being pushed out in seclusion and being separate, because there is something brewing in the universe.
Mhm.
Something's brewing in the universe of this oneness that's being desired. And we're right. And I think Chris Rock said it. We're at the point where the infant begins to cry just before he goes into a deep sleep, or she goes into deep sleep. And that's where we are right now. And that deep sleep will be the rest of restoring something new.
Oh, I love that analogy. Chris is brilliant. Have you
Yeah.
seen his documentaries?
Yeah. I
I
like
love
Chris.
that guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I mean, I think that's where we are. I think that's where we are. And so all these separations that we have, and people don't know what to do with these separations. I mean, I'm working with a group of women from Access Now. We're talking about what is this thing we call racism, and where does it come from, and what does it create, and can it be a contribution to more greatness if you can move through it?
That has so many interesting energies to it. I can't put
Yeah,
words to it.
yeah,
Because it's a weird word, isn't it? It doesn't
yeah.
make sense to me.
And I think in the person and the cat's out the box now, because I think that Dr. Martin Luther King was actually massaging it,
Yeah.
and now the universe has expanded to where more people can really receive what he truly was saying.
Yeah, he did have a dream. He tapped into the future.
Yeah.
No, he
And
didn't
what
know
happens
he'd
is
be
that once you
there.
make a dream or something real, it's no longer false. It actually permeates, and it's the possibility of something being greater. And I think that's where, for me, tapping into SOP energy, when I said that earlier,
Mhm.
that is the possibility that I see. It's like, oh, I can see this now in that
Right.
energy, because the oneness that we deny ourselves from being is what keeps us from truly being more joyful and having more ease and happiness.
Wow. You know, I want to
There's a oneness that we deny.
I want to share something with you because it just reminded me when I first went to college, and I
Mhm,
was an English major. And I'm an author now. I have 3 books actually, and
mhm,
I used to write a lot of essays and this type of thing. And the first essay I wrote was on Malcolm X,
Yes.
And what it was is they gave us all these different people we could write on. And I didn't know really who he was.
Hmm.
You know, I knew the name and the history. We didn't have a lot of studying about it that I could recall. So what I did is I went to the library. Remember those people?
Yes.
It's like
Before the internet.
way before I took a computer course, and the whole room was a computer. And I got to go on
Yes.
it twice with a bunch of zeros and ones, but now y'all know how old I am. Anyway, I digress. I decided to check out the vinyl and listen to the speeches. And
Yeah.
it was interesting because I listened to probably 10 hours, and you could tell a difference from when he had first started to
Yeah.
talk and where he ended up, because in the beginning he was so aggressive, but by
Mhm.
the end he was sounding more and more like the movement that was going on for the king.
Yeah.
And so I wrote this essay, and it was funny because the teacher just said, this was my favorite essay, and I'm going to read it to the class. And she starts reading my essay. And I live in the South, and it was a very
Mhm.
mixed class. And one thing the teacher said is this: the only person that chose this topic was a white person.
Yeah.
And yet there were like 3 African Americans, I guess, in the class
Mhm.
that started to actually get uncomfortable and started crying. And
Mhm.
I now know that that was acknowledgement for me,
Mhm.
acknowledging the movement. I mean, I did it because I'm a seeker and I like to learn. I want to know about
Yes.
things. And it was a part of history I really didn't understand, because I mean, Kennedy was killed the year I was, and Martin Luther were killed the year I was born.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to know who these people were. And by the time I come along, you know, it's a completely different world. But now all of that creationship,
Right.
that seed from back then, this is what we're
You know,
living now.
and here's the ironic thing about it, because I too studied. I was really intrigued by the two men, Dr. King and Malcolm.
Really,
Oh
Malcolm.
my God, yeah, I was really intrigued by their energies. And here's the weirdest thing: by the end of their lives, they had both crossed over. King was becoming more like Martin, and Martin was becoming more like King.
Hmm.
When King had the realization of civil rights, he had a line. He said, "I think I've entered my people in a burning building,"
Oh no.
because then he had the realization of what this reality was. And it bothered and burned him for knowing that, because what he saw is what I've experienced in SOP. I've been to the mountaintop, and by going to the mountaintop, you can see the possibilities that's going to show up. But then the reality that when you come back to you, like, shit, Malcolm started there and was like, by going to Mackinac, coming back saying, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
I now see. And that's the piece, I think, the most rewarding piece of creating and finding happiness is once you be something, then you're willing to go on your journey. And that SOP energy that I talk about, of that expansiveness, cannot be harnessed. Not even a bullet can harness that energy.
True story.
And it permeates the universe.
You know, it's amazing what you're saying here, because there's so many paths up the mountain, people.
Oh my God, yes.
The view from the top is the same. It's just,
It's
you know.
it's like I have a black belt in Taekwondo, and when you start watching people in forms with all the martial arts, once they get to black belt, they start to look the same,
Mm-hmm.
because the different paths of the martial arts, but one time you get to black belt, they're very similar. They're different, but they're very similar in some of their movements.
Okay.
And that's living. If you stay on a journey and you stay in question, what you'll find that everybody's had their own journey, but they get to a destination that they really never really get to, but they assume they get to, because it's just part of the evolution of being. Without judgment. If you say somebody who's just like, from the Girl Scout to the Klansman, there's a journey.
Mm-hmm.
And without judgment, you get to figure out what you want to do with that. And how does that correspond with your being? I'm the person that I think that everything's a contribution.
Right.
Everything.
I'm in the same place. This whole coronavirus thing was definitely a
A
contribution.
huge contribution.
It's just not showing up the way we thought it would. It's unraveling so many things.
Yes.
You know, I ran to grab my mic because
Yes.
what you just said, I was like, mic drop. Without
Yes.
a point of view, people, you know, if you can interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point. I had so many points of view that I was unaware of when I first was put into lockdown or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And now I don't have a point of view about much of anything. And the
Yeah.
weird part is everyone thinks I just don't care. I'm like, yeah, because I kind of don't anymore.
Yeah.
I don't place significance on all these things anymore. Why? What all that does is lock me up and kind of keeps it kind of backfires on you, you
Yeah.
know? But I love the way you put that, you know, just being in that place of no judgment.
Yeah.
Interesting point of view. You know, what if there really is no right or wrong or good or bad?
Yeah.
What if everything was a contribution?
Yeah.
You know? Golly, man. I had no
Yeah.
idea we were gonna go here.
Yeah.
I even had to grab my microphone. Oh, yeah. You know, I got to tell you something funny. I swear, we don't usually go on this long, but I'm loving this so much. My producer, music producer, jokes and says, "You know, girl, you have this black thing." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Well, all the artists that you do covers of are black, like, you know, Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle. I like to do Prince." And I was like, "No, dude, I just know good music when
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel it, and that's what
Yeah.
I be when I sing it."
Yeah.
So I thought that was
It's the
that's a
energy.
funny little story, but yeah. I don't
Yeah.
sing much white people because I mean, not to say that there's anything wrong with white or black. It's just something about soulful music or funk music
Yeah.
just turns me on, and it just so happens to come from people of a darker shade usually.
Yeah.
I've noticed.
And that's the magic that I've noticed. And that's what I was talking about. There's a magic that all people have.
Mhm.
But I realized, because I was trying to figure this out for the longest. I'm 57 and I was trying to figure this out. And I was like, John, quit trying to figure out and just tap into what you notice. What I noticed is that energy, you know,
Mhm.
I can go to church, and I used to make this joke about this because when I was going to church, I would go to my church in Chicago, was African American, and it had a vibe. I could go there, it was exciting. And I
Mhm.
come and go to church in Portland, and it was like, it's just something ain't happening. The
Different. Yeah.
music was different. And once the
Sure.
music, that energy and that music happened, it actually was like nutrients added to a garden. You can grow plants, but if you add nutrients and manure to it, it's going to do greater. It's going to produce greater fruit, sweeter.
Yeah.
The texture is going to be different. And that's the energy that we be if we choose it.
I agree. Wow. I remember as a child going with my great aunt. She couldn't drive anymore, so the closest church we could get to was a black church. I mean, black church, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. There was like 5 of us white people there. I'm going to say Italians.
Yeah.
5
Yeah.
Italians. And they got to know my great aunt, and they absolutely adored her. But you're right, I felt so engulfed by the music, you
Yes.
know. That's so funny you say manure. It was like, you're right. It had those ingredients that moved me. And I mean, I was raised Roman Catholic, and it was all in a different, I can't even remember it wasn't English or Italian. It was,
Right.
and I memorized those things, and that had an energy to it too. And in growing up, I'm still very fond of that energy.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking about because I was lucky enough to actually get to experience that.
Mhm.
So anyway, if you guys have held on this long, thank you so much for joining
Thank you.
us. And
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
hey, beautiful Mr. John Ashford, if
Yes.
people wanted to find you, where could they go?
They can go to my website, www.beingjohnashford.com. They can go to YouTube, Being John Ashford, and I'm on Facebook as John Ashford.
Alrighty then. I love it. Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much for
having me.
being a part of this conversation.
Thank you. And thank you for being the energy of excitement, fun, and joy. I really appreciate that. I think we need more of that on planet Earth right now. Thank you.
I will receive that, my friend. You know, it's kind of funny. I've been coined the happy lady, but I'm sure
Yes.
it could be a lot worse.
Yeah. I mean, and most people will look at that in this reality. Oh, she's happy. But
Right.
actually, I think the vibe that you give off is something that is well needed. I mean, I will say this: plants love that energy. You know, I mean, it's like it's a mutual. Like when I walk past trees and plants, when I'm hiking around here, I can pick up the energy, and I
Mm.
realize that it's mutual. They can tell that you're groovy, and they look at you and they give you some juice, and you give them juice, and it's like it's a mutual communion, and that's what you be, sister. Thank you.
Groovy. Grooving on a
Yeah,
Sunday afternoon.
you know it.
Oh,
You
I
know it.
love it. Thank you so much. We're going to have to
Thank,
play again soon, my dear.
for sure, sister.
Telling you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This
Thank
has
you.
been beautiful. You've really filled my heart. So
Thank you.
thank you for that. And for
Peace.
all the
Thank you.
rest of y'all, ciao, ciao for now. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please share it with those you think would dig it. And until next time, ciao, ciao for now.
Peace.